Retired NASA astronaut Terry Virts joins me now. He spent more than 7 months in space. Well, Terry, you just heard me say it. I was sort of blown away by these color variations on the surface of the moon. I don't know anything about this, so I'm easily amazed. But were you surprised by that?
I was surprised about it. And, you know, when I was in space, I took a lot of pictures of everything. And when you see the Earth's atmosphere, there are these lines in the atmosphere between the stratosphere and tropopause, et cetera. And I noticed that my eye was seeing it differently than the camera chip. I'd look at the atmosphere, I'd take the picture and look at the camera, and it was not the same thing. So even looking at Earth, the colors and the shades that my eye would see were very different than what the camera was seeing. So the science experiment to have the astronauts look and describe what they were seeing, I think is a very valid science experiment. And it'll be interesting to see what they say. I'm friends with several of the Apollo astronauts, and they said the same thing. When you look at the moon, you think it's just this black and white and gray thing. But when you get up close, there's some brown, there's some green, there's different elements, different types of material there on the surface. So it was pretty cool to see that. There's also a really, really thin atmosphere. I'm not sure if they got pictures of that. I mean, it's almost non-existent, but there's a little bit of gas trapped around the moon. So what amazing pictures those were, though.
What was your emotional reaction seeing some of these pictures?
I mean, I was so excited. I felt like a kid when I was a little kid. The first book I read was about Apollo, one of those cardboard books, and it's what made me want to grow up to be an astronaut. You know, yesterday was maybe 2 days ago was an emotional day. They had a recording from Jim Lovell, the commander of Apollo
Yes.
13, who had passed away, but that was really emotional. And then when they dedicated the crater to Carol Weissman, I knew Carol. I was Reed's. I know all four of these American and Canadian astronauts, and I was Reed's backup for his first space flight on a Russian Soyuz. And so the families get to know each other, and I got to know Carol. And it was a tragedy when she passed away. So to name that crater was so cool. It was so cool to hear Jeremy read that out. So it's been an emotional time. You know what was really emotional for me when they were going into the blackout, you could see the Earth going behind the moon. What you were actually watching was the moon moving. The moon is moving really fast. The moon was going a lot faster than the capsule was. So you were seeing the moon kind of slide over and block Earth. That was just really profound. And the colors and the definition of these high def cameras that we have today are different than what they had in Apollo. I kind of like the colors better in the Apollo time, but it was different. It was something that we have never seen before. The cameras of today capture a different image than what they did back in 1968 when Apollo 8 first flew around the moon. So it's just so emotional. It's such a great time.
And the human eye adds to that
Absolutely.
perspective, adds to that gathering, that collection, that emotional reaction, adds to the entire experience. It did to me, it did to you. Terry Virts, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate you being with us today.
Thanks, Major. We see so much of the worst of humanity, and what we're seeing in Artemis is the best of humanity. So thanks for covering this.
That's why we love this story so very much. Again, thanks so very much.